Hi there, welcome back to the Caffeinated Classroom. If this is your first time here, my name is Marie. I'm a high school English teacher in San Diego, California, and we're gonna talk today about some secrets. They're not really that secret, but secrets about building your confidence as a teacher. Teaching is hands down one of the most complicated professions because there are so many moving parts. Not at any given time, at every given time. And so there are definitely things that are up against us that can hinder or break our confidence in ourselves. And confidence really is key. If you know that you're doing a good job, you're going to do an even better job, right? Like that goes throughout, I would say, most parts of life is confidence. I'm not talking about false confidence. I'm talking about true, real confidence and knowledge in our own abilities and our own shortcomings so that we can be aware and have perspective. Confidence is all a matter of perspective. And so today I'm going to give you some strategies that I have gained over the years and that I have observed in the experiences of others as to how to use some strategies to build that confidence and to gain that perspective. So I'm excited to share this with you because it's really simpler than it needs to be, or like than it seems. And I'm excited for y'all to gain some confidence. Let's get started. So one of the things that I'm sure all of you teachers out there, you get this from the non-teachers in your life, is this like, how do you do that? How are you just with kids all day? Or like for me, I get it from non-teachers and like elementary teachers. It's like, how do you hang out with the big kids all day? Like some of my elementary teacher friends will be like, I'm scared of the big kids, like the high schoolers. I could never do that. And I'm like, listen, there's something to that. Like, teenagers are absolutely other than moms on the internet, I would say that teenagers are the most judgmental segment of of the human population because, like, think about it, right? Like when I was a teenager, we are steeped in hormones, trying to figure things out, like want to be independent, but also lots of us, cannot do everything on our own because we're still children, but we're just like very large children. And so a lot of that uncertainty of ourselves comes out in judgment, right? I am not immune to that. Standing in front of a group of, 38 to 41, yay, SoCal class sizes, teenagers for hours on end every day, does come with its like interesting moments. Yeah, they judge. Yeah, they make comments about weird things, about your handwriting, about your hair, about the way that you pronounce a word, about that's not how you spell that. And then you're like, but it is. And then you look at the board and go, ah, crap, no, it's not. And like, there's definitely no faking it in front of children, period, but especially in front of teenagers because they are eyes wide open and they are paying attention, even when they like to pretend that they're not. So confidence is the thing that has made me more successful as a secondary educator, as an educator in general, but also as a secondary educator. So like I said in the intro, we are going to talk about the strategies that I have developed and that I have observed working for others for gaining that confidence. And truly, 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 I said this before, it's all a matter of perspective. Confidence will build over time, but to gain the perspective to see how and where you can build your own confidence, because my confidence comes from within me, yours is gonna come from within you, right? Like it's all very subjective, but that perspective piece, there are strategies for gaining perspective. That perspective will help you see and build your confidence faster. Hopefully this makes sense. I mean, I'm a pretty good teacher, but confidence. The number one thing I have to say, and this is going to come up a little bit later because it's actually an announcement that I'm excited to tell you about, is that finding your community and finding mentors that you can turn to and like truly share your questions, your concerns, and like really gain experience and knowledge in this thing that we call teaching, that community, that mentorship is key. That is the make or break. Yes, are there some unicorns that can go out there and just be amazing without anybody else helping them out? No, actually, no, there's not, because I don't think that that's true amazingness. teaching and learning, they're communal. There's a reason that we go to school. There's a reason that we all had, not all, but like most of us, had such a hard time. And our students, by and large, had such a hard time when the doors to schools shut and we had to start doing all of education this way for a time during the pandemic. It's because it's a social thing. And not all parts of education have to be social, but like, human beings are social biologically. So we want to be around other people to different varying extents. And that's how education should be. And I'm pretty sure if you're here watching this, you're in the same camp as me. If you disagree, absolutely. I respect that. The way that I educate is very collaborative. The way that my classroom works is extremely interactive between me and students and between students and students. And I think that that is why community is such a huge piece of my teaching practice, my own learning practice, and just generally like how I exist, right? Like connections with other people. That said, I'm gonna tell you more about this at the end of the video, so stick around or, you know, just check out the description box down below. My business partner, Amanda from Mud Ending Teaching, and we make up the team that is Brave New Teaching. We have a podcast. If you haven't listened to it, I will link that down below as well. But we are starting a new teacher mentorship program together. It's going to be a 12-week program, just 3 months. It's meant for teachers between going straight into the classroom for the first time ever, or maybe 3 years of experience under their belt. And it's true mentorship the way that we think it should be. We have a podcast episode coming out all about what we mean by that. I will tell you more at the end of the video, but I just want to like mention it. If you are a new teacher or you know a new teacher who you think would benefit for something like this, it's going to be small, really hands-on. I'm really excited about it. So number one, mentorship, community. And I'm going to talk about some ways to find that community and places to find that community in a moment. But here comes key number two, or strategy number two for finding the perspective. It's a secret to helping you build confidence. You will not be perfect. Like, you're going to mess up all the time. I mess up all the time. And the reason I can recover from those mess ups is because I go, oh, oops, but I have the confidence to know that I'm still a good teacher. I'm still a really great instructor, even when I deliver a lesson that is really crappy, right? Like I can look at that and I have the perspective to go, didn't do that right, gonna change that for next time, right? Like there are pieces to that. Once I started to really just acknowledge, not like, oh, you're gonna do horribly. Like it's not a mindset of scarcity. I guess not scarcity and abundance, but like it's not a negative mindset. It's more of like a knowing that things are gonna go wrong sometimes, right? Maybe more often than not. And also knowing that there are ways to solve the problem, or there are ways to learn from the experience, and that I am going to find those ways. Like that is something that I'm going to do. That perspective alone skyrocketed my confidence as an educator, and being able to practice that perspective, because it's not just you gain the perspective and you have it forever. It's a constant reminding myself to practice knowing that things are going to go awry, and that I am going to find the challenge where it is and meet the challenge and learn from the opportunity and that sort of a thing. So like, number one, find community, mentorship, things that you can really count on and be yourself and grow within. Number two, know that you will need to grow. Like you will need to grow. I entered this profession thinking I was amazing, which is great. I was pretty good. Like it's definitely a calling. It's summer, I'm very warm, sorry. And so I was good, but I wasn't great. No one really is great at something as nuanced and as complicated as education and working with other people's babies, right? Like we're working with other people's babies. We better get better and better and better as we do it. It better take practice, because we need to be honing and sharpening and adapting to the children that are coming into our classrooms and to the other educators that are coming into our world. Yeah, you're gonna mess up. You're gonna do things wrong. You're not gonna be perfect. You shouldn't be perfect, because nobody is, and it's all a myth. It's also the best way to model how to be for our students, is just like how to adapt. Okay, number three, here's a great way to find perspective and to start building your own confidence, is to ask for specific feedback from others. This builds back into that first tip of community and mentorship. Asking for feedback is one thing. right? Like, you don't really know what you're gonna get. It's also coming from another, like I ask another teacher to come into my classroom, watch my lesson, and then say, what's your feedback? What do you think? What do they think about what? That is way too broad of a question, I think, to get feedback on. If you really want feedback to be able to grow as an educator, specifically as like a classroom teacher, you invite someone in and you say, I'm focusing on this and maybe this other thing today. Will you please watch for that and let me know your feedback on those two things? And then maybe after you get the feedback from a trusted member of your teaching community or a trusted mentor, then they might give you some other things. But like asking for open feedback is a recipe for just like soul crushing anxiety, right? Like you gotta make sure that you are only working on certain things at a time. If you try to work on all of it, your entire teaching practice, your planning and your classroom management and your decor and your outfits. I mean, like if you're working on everything all at once, it's too much. Focus on one thing for a week, for a month, for a few days. Feel like you have that under your belt. And then, I mean, listen, this is coming from a chronic overachiever. So I'm trying to do as I do, or do as I say. I'm trying to do as I say so that you can do as I say and as I do, right? But I will say asking for specific feedback from whoever it is that you need feedback from is key in just about every area, but especially something as subjective as teaching. It's an art. It takes like lots of time to hone. It takes a lot of observation and it takes a lot of like knowing how to take feedback. Feedback is hard to take. If you ask for specific feedback, then it gives you something to focus on and you don't feel like everything is like crushing you, right? Here's my last tip. Sorry, got a little carried away on the crushing blow of feedback. My last tip for finding community and mentorship and gaining that perspective is to find not just the people within your building or within your school, but especially the people outside of your little realm, right? This took me a long time. When I first started teaching, social media was very young. There was like MySpace, I think, was dying out. Facebook had just like a few years prior become public. There wasn't a whole lot by way of like, now you've got teacher YouTubers, you got teacher tubers, you've got teacher Gram, you've got teacher Twitter, you've got teacher TikTok, which I've started to dabble in not making because enough's enough, but definitely watching. And there's some great tips and hacks out there for classroom teachers. Podcasts are phenomenal for gaining insight and perspective about teaching and doing so in real time, right? There are a lot of really great podcasts out there. I mean, I mentioned that I have a podcast with my good friend Amanda from Untitled Teaching. It's called Brave New Teaching. We share real perspectives from like in real time in the classroom. Some others that I absolutely love is the Social Studies podcast from Joe Dombrowski, Mr. D. If you're not following Mr. D ×3 on Instagram, pause me and go follow him because you'll cry laughing. He's so funny. But he has a podcast where he talks about, I mean, he's a comedian. He's a teacher comedian, so it's entertaining, but he also talks about like real things. He's an experienced teacher. He teaches elementary school and I gain insight as a high school teacher, career high school teacher. I gain insight from that podcast every single time I listen to it. Teach Me Teacher with Jacob Chastain. I've had the opportunity to be on his podcast a couple times. He talks to people who are gurus in the education field and he talks to normie like classroom teachers like myself who just speak from our own experience and from what we have gleaned from years in the classroom. And it's, you just get to sit in on these great conversations and like listen to teacher experience. And I've felt seen so many times listening to these podcasts. Another one, and I have others as well. Another one is Cult of Pedagogy with Jen Gonzalez. She's got a lot of really great in the moment, like real life strategies that you can use in your classroom, but also just great insight. And you get to hear from, like I said, teachers who you may have heard of or who you've like, we're just fresh out of the classroom, right? And like just talking about what we know and what we do with our students. Podcasts are great because you can just pop it on your commute, or if you get to get some fresh air and go for a walk, put in your headphones. Social media can start to get a little bit keeping up with the Jonesies. So if that's something that has kind of made you turn off a little bit, I've found that like podcasts, blogs get the same way too. Anything with a visual starts to get a little bit a little bit intimidating sometimes, or a little bit like, okay, I've had enough of that. When I've had enough of that, I like to listen to podcasts, because you just hear who people really are. You get to listen to them talk. So community and mentorship. Know that you will not be perfect. Ask for specific feedback. Ask for feedback, but the way to learn how to take feedback is to ask for specific feedback. I know I've kicked the horse, I get it. And then find community outside of your school. Podcasts are great. I will link some more. Follow me on Instagram. I just told you that social media can be hard, but if you follow me on Instagram, I'm recommending podcasts and those sorts of things all the time. So if that's something that you are looking for some recommendations, there you go. I like them because they're better than a PD book in that it happens in real time. And like I said before, if you are a new teacher or a newer teacher, or if you have someone in your life who you think as a newer teacher could really benefit from some community and some objective mentorship, it can be hard to share your concerns as a new teacher with people who are within your teaching community. Sometimes you got to go outside for that like direct connection. Brave New Teaching, we are starting a program all for new educators. Our first cohort kicks off the beginning of August 2021. So if you're watching this video in real time, head to the description box down below, take a look for more information, send it along to other teachers in your life who would benefit from a small cohort community. We're gonna have weekly live calls, at least a couple a week. We're gonna have workshops on just whatever everybody needs to work on. And it's going to be basically the mentorship that we know that we needed as new teachers, and we are providing that for our new teachers who are out there. So friends, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you are having a wonderful weekend. If you're watching this in real time, it is 4th of July weekend, so get out there, relax, connect with other people, because sometimes building that confidence just comes from knowing that you have a life outside of your profession, right? My children are waiting for me to go and get them into some sort of a body of water, so I better go and take care of that. I will see you guys next time. Bye.